Well, some of you may remember that back in March, George Galloway, when he won his seat in Rochdale, said that the next general election would be about Muslims. And I think many people seem to have forgotten that, but the statistics from the polls actually very interesting. Labour's vote is down an average of 23 points in areas where Muslims make up over 20% of the population. And we've seen throughout the campaign with Jess Phillips, for example, that her campaign was dogged by intimidation from pro-Palestine campaigners. And we'll throw to a clip of that shortly. But first, just to go through some of the seats that have gone to the independent pro-Palestine, pro-Gaza campaigners. We've now got MPs in Perry Barr, Leicester South, Blackburn, the new constituency of Dewsbury and Batley. No surprise there, perhaps, because that's, if you remember, where the teacher is still in hiding after showing a cartoon of Muhammad in a school lesson. And this is really significant because this is the first time that we've seen independents like this running on the same ticket, effectively becoming a party joined together by a particular cause. So let's just throw to that clip of Jess Phillips talking about what it was like campaigning in her area.
It was an absolutely horrible campaign, the most aggressive, most intimidatory, not just of me, but of the people in my constituency, people being intimidated, people being told that God will judge them if they vote a certain way, which is an electoral offence. Yeah, it's been pretty awful. Some of my activists had their tyres slashed on election day.
Now, Jess Phillips only just managed to scrape by in that vote, and Wes Streeting as well in Ilford North only just scraped by, with a number of Labour MPs having huge chunks taken out of their majorities by these independent pro-Gaza campaigners. Another MP in Birmingham, Shabana Mahmood, Labour MP, faced the same kind of intimidation in her campaign and described it as an assault on democracy when masked men disrupted one of their community meetings. So, Albie, do you think that this is going to be much more of a problem for the Labour Party than it would be for the Conservatives?
I think the problem for the Conservative Party is a different one. The problem for the Conservative Party is the Reform Party. And what we have seen at this general election is a return to multi-party politics. It's not just Labour versus Tory in this new administration that we have in the House of Parliament. It's these pro-Gaza independents who I really disagree with the way that they are going about promoting that cause, though it's an important cause that people feel very strongly about. You've got the Greens that have now got 4 MPs. You've got the Liberal Democrats that have now got 72 MPs as of today. You've got Reform with 5 MPs. The SNP and Plaid Cymru kind of a little bit more irrelevant now. But the point is we've got this return to multi-party politics, and that is going to mean that there are some people in Parliament that actually we don't like very much. But we can't say we can't say on one thing on one side it's great that we've got 5 Reform MPs, and then say it's terrible that we have pro-Gaza independents.
It's dangerous sectarianism, isn't it?
It's not that they're people I don't like, right? I've had 14 years of people I don't like being in Parliament. These people are fascists. They just don't look like the ones that we're told to be afraid of all the time. They are fanatics. They are dangerous. They are against the spirit of democracy because they use intimidation and whipping up their own community.
And I condemn that intimidation, but they were voted in by democratic means. And people would make the same argument about reform.
Look, can I just say, you could democratically elect Tommy Robinson if he wished to run, right? Yeah. And I would still say that was dangerous and terrifying. These people are dangerous and terrifying, and I want to know where the funding and organisation is coming from. But Benjamin, they should look at whether Iran is behind
Darren,
this.
if this was another group of people, they would be, treated, as Benjamin was saying, that people would be calling them fascists, wouldn't they not?
I would like Jess to actually, and by the way, I think it's absolutely abhorrent, and as much as I disagree with Jess's politics, I think that this is unacceptable. The shouting and intimidation that was...
So why doesn't she call it out then? She has not identified these people.
Well, hang on. Why doesn't she identify the threat to democracy, and I think she needs to actually call it out, because this is what is happening throughout our country in Muslim populations around the country, and I think actually she's got to be able to call it out.
They've made their bed, so they've got a line.
And do you know what? People like Jess Phillips, I feel...
Yeah, in terms of multiculturalism, arguing for multiculturalism, not judging other people's values and so on, and then when anti-democracy protesters...
These people are to blame. People like Jess Phillips, who can't even call out the kind of people who are abusing her. People like Jonathan Ashworth, who lost his seat.
No.
Sorry?
No, sorry.
No, yes, Jonathan Ashworth, he denied there was even a problem with sectarianism or multiculturalism. And you...
Well, this is very different to
Benjamin,
multiculturalism. There are many millions of people...
You sit there week after week advocating open borders, and then a minute later you say, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We've got some pretty unsavoury types in the country.
Open borders.
Yes, you do.
There are the vast majority of people in this country, of which there are many, many millions, who are of an ethnic minority or recently from another country, are not like these people.
Benjamin, there are swathes of this country, cities and towns now who are full of these people.
Don't try and blame Jess Phillips, a woman who has just took on what sounds like a horrific fight against these people and won.
I agree.
And was really gutsy in her acceptance.
She's not gutsy enough to call it out.
Isn't it worrying, though, that her majority has been cut down to 700 votes? Like, they've taken a massive chunk out of her majority.
And she said, Emma, did she not? She said in her response to the guy shouting at her election count, she said, you might want to shout down a woman. And I wanted to say, well, Jess, why is it they want to shout down a woman? What is their problem with women?
You do think it's a little bit hypocritical, isn't it? Because they are not the people who stood up for Muslim women when Muslim women are being oppressed.
Can I quickly say one thing? Most of the people they defeated were Muslims, right? They evicted the first Muslim elected in this country who was pro a ceasefire. It's not good enough to say this is Palestine. Khalid Mahmoud, that MP that was thrown out, he said this isn't about Palestine. This is a fig leaf for extremism within that community.